Right, so last talk of the morning, but one that I'm actually really looking forward to because I've been avoiding doing video for, well, 5 or 6 years, and suddenly I find I need to. And so learning about an SFU and how to choose one is actually quite useful for me, and I'm hoping for you as well. So Sergio is going to talk about how to choose an SFU.
Okay. Well, when I started to prepare or think about what I could be presenting here, I mean, obviously I want to talk about my media server. I mean, it's what I do, is what I want to talk about, but I have doubts about how to do the presentation or what to present. I mean, because if you go too technical, it's difficult to come up with something that it is really new or interesting. And also, talking about only myself is, I mean, it's something that I don't like so much. So, also, this media server is something new, so what would anyone be interested in my media server? I mean, why anyone would like to choose my media server above all the other options that are so well established and have been around for years? So, thinking about it, I realized that I could speak about why you would choose any SFU among others, and also explain in the process why you may want to choose my one. So this is what this presentation about, is what do you have to consider when you are going to choose a new SFU for yourself. I mean, so first of all, a bit of common sense. So how would you use any other server that you are going to use in production? I mean, it's a media server, but it is not something different. I mean, you have to first to use the same criteria that they are already using for all the other servers that you are deploying. I mean, you have to choose if you want something that it is open source or something that it is commercial. Okay, but here there are not so many commercial SFU available. So most of them are already open source. So here the options are slightly are more probably that you use an open source one. So also obviously you have to check what is the solution maturity. So and the success history of each of the ones. I mean, it's WebRTC may be something fancy and something new, but at the end you are going to put it in production, so it may work. So it should work. So also you have to check is the project is really alive and well baked, but a strong community. I mean, WebRTC is still very unstable. I mean, it may break at any moment in time. So if you don't have a project that it is real life and having some supported by a strong community or an entity that will ensure that the next time that the next Chrome version breaks something, you will be able to catch up quick. I mean, you may be in very huge problem. Also, what kind of support are you going to have when things got bronze? I mean, because it will. I mean, at some moment in time, Chrome will change the security thing and make things different. So, what kind of SLA on support can you get for this SFU? Also, this is paid, it is community, it is best effort. So, just also a hint. For most cases, you can get support from CoSMo. So this point is also more clear. And last but not the less important is, does it really provide this SFU what I need? I mean, not what I want, is what I need. I mean, because there are a lot of things that you may want, but there are fewer that are the ones that you need. So okay, this is common sense, but how do you choose my SFU? Well, as anything in this life, there is a trade-off. I mean, it is very difficult to have a solution that has, at the same time, a very good specialization in the use case that conferencing, or that it is a toolkit solution that provides you clients, that it is easy to set up, and at the same time that allow you to have the amount of flexibility that you want to implement your use case. So you will have to decide what it is more important for you. See, if you want something that it is just plug and play, just I install it and I use it and I'm happy with that. Or if I have a weird use case with fancy requirements, with integration with databases or whatever, that this may change the SFU that you will most likely to be using. So I didn't want this presentation to be about comparing SFUs, because I don't want to do that. I mean, I don't want to compare SFUs and say which one is best, because there is no one that it is best. So I also didn't want to speak about SFUs that I didn't have hands-on experience with it, because I didn't think that it was fair. So I choose the 3 ones that I have actually contributed code to. So it is Jitsi, Janus, and obviously my Medooze. And also, when doing so, I also realized that there were also the perfect example of the different kind of architecture that you may find in an SFU. So don't think that this is about choosing between these 3 ones, is that each one is like an example of the architecture that you may find in others. So there are other SFUs, but they will share some most of the characteristics of one of them, or be a kind of mix of both. So I think that it is this is good to see what are those characteristics of each one, and then you have to choose which one is best for you, and which things you have to drop, and what things do you get. So let's start with Jitsi. Jitsi is let's say the Apple of the video conferences. I mean, you have a complete ecosystem with very deeply integrated things that does one use case very well. I mean, it's a very good full-feature conference suite that you have a lot of components that you can use. It's kind of turnkey solution, so once you install it, you can use it in production. But also, as Apple, good luck if you want to try your Chinese cable and try to plug things together. So the second one is Janus. That is kind of the Swiss Army knife. I don't know. Well, first of all, before preparing all these slides, all the good thing is that I have a very good relation with also Lorenzo and Emil, so I have checked all this information with them just to make sure that I was not pissing anyone off, because that's the last thing I want to do. So Janus is like, as well, the good thing is that this you have already know about Jitsi and Janus. Janus is a core server when you have plugins that implement the specific use cases. So the video room one is the one that implements the SFU case. So one application can choose to compose different plugins and kind of create a service on top by using the APIs to compose those plugins into a coherent service. But it has kind of a limitation, but these plugins cannot be mixed or merged, and so you have to use one, then another, or you have to like compose, but you cannot take part of the video room, get the recording, so it's kind of, you have to use this kind of standalone but integrate it into your application. So if you say something wrong, just interrupt me, please. And the last one, my own one. So before talking, I mean, probably you have never heard about this before, so I wanted to share what was the main driver for me to start working on this project. I mean, like 1 year and a half ago, I mean, I was having a very hard time. I mean, we were closing our company face to face, so it was a very tough time. I mean, both professionally and personally, and I was really exhausted. I mean, I have been working in my MCU, the Medooze MCU, for more than 10 years, and well, I mean, MCUs are not sexy anymore. I mean, they are heavy, they cost too much, they are don't scale. So when I was thinking what to do next, I had hard time to see what was going to be next. So also I just got into my 40s, so it's like, but then I realized that, I remember that someone once told me that the new mid-age crisis was about wearing t-shirts and programming in Node. So that's basically the idea that I have. I mean, I'm going to implement a new SFU in Node. I'm going to be young and sexy again, right? No, it didn't work that way. I mean, mainly because there were already another SFU that was made building Node. I mean, and if you are late to the party, you can not do the same. I mean, you have to do it better or do something different. I cannot do it better than Jitsi, because Jitsi is very, I mean, I cannot provide a better user experience than Jitsi, and I cannot provide more use cases than Janus, for example. I cannot provide more functionality than Janus. So the idea was to do something different. I mean, and then I get this idea of creating like a Lego of the media server. So the idea was to take the core parts of the MCU that had been working for years, to create that is implemented in C++, create a native Node module with JavaScript business. So I can put a soft layer of the JavaScript APIs in order to provide these Lego bricks. So you could use these Lego bricks to create your own application. So at the end, and this is what is the media server, is think of it as it's not a media server like the typical that you will use. Think about it much more like an SDK. So it's an easy to install Node GSLib, because this is something that I have problem with my MCU, that was too difficult to set up. So this you just need to run the install it as you will install any other dependency in Node. It has a high performance native C++ core that has been working in the MCU for years. And it has a very modular API that allows you to have bricks, that in this case, for example, is the incoming and outgoing tracks that you can attach together. So you can create your incoming tracks coming from one browser, create outgoing tracks going to another browser, and attach it. And when you attach it, you get, in this case, a transponder object that it is the one that is going to pass inside of the C++ core the RTP package for one, and from the incoming track to the outgoing track, and do some kind of transformation inside. So like, for example, selecting the spatial layer or the temporal layer, or switching simulcast encoding. So this will allow you to have small bricks that you can use to create your app. So how does it fit together in my previous slide? So you have 3 different kind of SFUs, each one that has a different focus. So for example, Jitsi is very vertical, so you have the best impressive SFU. So I think that you cannot have a best user experience that you have the full SFU and the full suite. You have all kind of clients available, all kind of libs. You have to use XMPP. You have to install Prosody. You have to get the full suite. I mean, when I was discussing with Emil, he said that, well, that it was not really true, because you could just use the REST API in the video bridge that it is using the Colibri, and to create your own experience on top. But then if you do that, then you will lose all the clients, all the things that made Jitsi great. I mean, if you are using just the REST API, the video bridge will not be in this column. It will just move to be similar to Janus in comparison. Also, you will be in kind of uncharted waters, because it is not the main use case. You will not have all the support. Things may break. And on the cons of using Jitsi is that if it provides you what you need, it is perfect, but you need to customize it. You only will be able, most probably, do it with configurable parameters, and it is difficult to integrate with other servers. I mean, we have seen situations that you want to use different recordings or different integration with different authentication of databases, and it's not something simple to do. So it's nothing that you get out of the box. The good thing is that you can get CoSMo to do it. So that's also one good thing. And also, you cannot have your custom SFU logic. So you have to do it Jitsi way. That is great, but if it doesn't match exactly what you want to do, starting to modify the source code, especially if you are good changing the video bridge, is something that I don't recommend. I mean, we have done it, and catching up with all the changes, it is really difficult. I mean, it's nothing that, if you are in this case, you better use another different SVU. So Janus is a very good multi-purpose WebRTC media server. I mean, you can do SIP, integrating with SIP, you can do broadcasting, you can do recordings, you can do a lot of things. So, but you have, the SVU is one of the use cases that you get, but you can get other also. So you can use these different plugins with serving composition. So you have to have an external application that controls them and has the logic about how these plugins will interact. So it is good also if you have already, for example, a Java application that it is running and can interact with all these plugins, and they provide what you want. This is also a very good solution. You can also extend the logic inside Janus with plugins available in Lua or Tactic.js. But also you have to use their custom JSON protocol over a different transports with Socket or REST or others. Also, there is, as it is a generic media server, you don't have a client that you can use. You have to build it your own. I mean, it is not as Jitsi that you have your client, your mobile clients, you have everything. Here, if you want to go the road, you have to your own client. That's also, you can also check CoSMo because they can provide it to you. And also is, if you want to do weird things with how the media streams are handled, or it is also not really easy to modify. Again, I'm not comparing technically. I mean, they might be better in some things, so they have been some limitations, but I don't want to enter in that. I just wanted to show you that the different views of how an SVU or a media server can be, the architecture can be, and what are the trade-offs between choosing one and another. And the last one, that is my own one, is you don't have anything. I mean, you have to build your own SVU. I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, the good thing is there is no default use case. So there is no logic. Also, there is no signaling. So what you get? Well, you get that, for example, you get a socket I/O, you can integrate it with it. You don't have to do anything else. I mean, you don't have to do a REST API. You just plug it, then the leaf inside, and you can use with the same signaling that you have. No one is forcing you to use a new signaling protocol. No one is forcing you to do a use case. So you have a weird use case, you can use it, and there will be no limitations. And also there is, in fact, the SFU is a demo application. It is not a full, it's a full product. And there are some clients helpers and leaves available in order to be able to do your life easier. Also, there is no client, again, there is no client available, but you can get CoSMo. So now that you may now be interested in use my media server, because maybe you not, because maybe you decide that you are much better you are much happier using Jitsi or Janus. It's a very perfect choice, I mean, and if your use case does not, you don't want to create your client and you want to use just a conferencing suite, use Jitsi. Or if you have this, if you are happy with the functionality that you will get from Janus and you have some use cases that I covered there, use Janus. But if they does not provide the flexibility that they allow you, you can use Medooze or other media or any other SFU that provide this kind of functionality. So at the end, this is about choosing the one that it is a vertical solution that provides you everything. Choosing a solution that it is wide, meaning that it has provided you a lot of functionality, or choosing a solution that just gives you the core of what you need. So depending on if you want to go vertical, horizontal, or just focus on the core functionality, you will be more likely to use one versus the other. So now getting to a bit more detail of what are the functionality of my media server is, we have been focusing in a lot in end-to-end encryption, pushing the PERC Lite, the PERC Lite end-to-end encryption that allows you to have multi-conferencing with end-to-end encryption that when the media goes encrypted in the SFU, you need to support frame marking, that it is something that we support. The media server also supports simulcast and SVC with VP9 and H.264 simulcast support with RIDs and SSRCs, VP9 temporal layer selection, and VP9 temporal and spatial layer selection. Also, we support recording and playback with MP4 multi-track recording of all available WebRTC codecs, H.264, VP9, VP9, Opus, and PCMU. Everything can be stored in the same container, and it is standard, it works, and Chrome has started to support recently playback of all these formats in MP4. So you don't have to use different container for VP8 or with using WebM or whatever, and H.264, you just drop everything in the container and it will work. Also, it supports pickup dumps of all the contents in the transport. This is a part of troubleshooting, and it enables to encrypt the recording for the end-to-end media encryption. And also we have utilities to convert this pickup to MP4 once you get for offline processing, when you get the key to create that recording for the encrypting recording. It implements also bandwidth and control congestion with both sender-side bandwidth estimation with transport-wide congestion control, both in the sender and the receiver place, in the sender and the receiver sides, and receiver-side bandwidth estimation for supporting Firefox and Safari and Edge with REM, both in the sender and the receiver. And also the typical thing that NAC, RTX, RTP reduced size, bundle, isolator, RTP MOOCs, and also we have a work in progress to support FlexFX. Also, they have other functionality that will allow you to create some more advanced use cases like active speaker detection and plain RTP broadcasting and streaming to integrate with FFmpeg or whatever, and also streaming statistics. So, how easy is to use? Because I mean, you will have to implement your thing on top. I mean, it's not something that it is going to. You will have to do some work in order to implement your own thing on top of this functionality. So how is it easy to do it? I mean, here, for example, you have an example that I created for when doing the implementation in libwertc for the H.264 simulcast patch and also the frame marking and the end-to-end encryption in libwertc. So testing it in Chrome is no way, I mean, because it was like one day compiling Chrome. So I couldn't use anything to test again. So I decided to use my media server to create a mock-up of the PERC connection server that is delivered with the libwertc. So I can use the native PERC connection client to connect to this media server. So this implements the PERC connection client protocol. What it does is get the media from the PERC connection for the PERC connection client, loop it back, dumps the contents into a pickup file, and also record the MP4 in the video and audio in an MP4 file. All that is done in 120 lines of code. So you have to do things, but the idea is that the API is good enough, I hope so. So it is not very costly. I mean, it does not have a crazy PERC connection API or whatever. I mean, you know what I mean with HTTP. And in fact, this API is what I will try to put something similar, you know, or I will adapt the API to whatever comes from WebRTC next version if we are able to get a sane API from there. So if you want to go there, there is a link. I don't know how much time do we have. No, I think that we are not going to. If we have free time, well, I can do a demo later. I mean, but it is just the connection client looping to itself, so you have to trust me. Okay, so I have mentioned several times CoSMo in this presentation, so I will speak a bit more about what CoSMo can provide when you switch one SFU to or another, because they have CoSMo can provide you custom WebRTC builds and packets. I mean, we have seen a lot of requests from clients wanting to do a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, we have implemented the H.264 simulcast patch that has landed just last week into libwertc, and hope it will get to Chrome soon. We have implemented also end-to-end media encryption with different implementation from different clients. We are working in future-proof functionality, like for example, we are actively involved in the WebRTC next version discussion, and we are also working on integrating AB1 into libwertc. We are able to provide custom builds of libwertc with with OpenSSL instead of boring, or even using your own libSRTP. That, for example, some people wanting to be able to use hardware encryption and specific libSRTP with that has been passed through a review process. And also, in terms of clients, we are able to support. We are able to provide you with Qt wrappers of libwertc, ARM builds, and things for IoT, and also provide you with commercial support for with SLAs for other SFUs like Janus or Jitsi. And in testing, like VoIP and Alex has already talked, we have a very good, very extensive experience in testing, from unit testing with Google to end-to-end testing with Kite in desktop, mobile, Electron, IoTs. And also one thing that we have started to do recently is load testing with Kite. And we are able to integrate it, your SFU with OBS that we have made for Janus and Electron, for example. And regarding this collaboration that we have made with Janus, for example, just to see that luckily we are a good community here in the WebRTC. I mean, we have been collaborating with Janus, providing contribution both on the server side and the client side. I mean, we have support different levels of collaboration in bandwidth estimation, with helping them to have Transport YCC integrated in Janus, some support on simulcast and SVC larger selection, and contributed in the client side with video room, Electron app, and Qt wrappers for the client side. This is what we have been calling it the WebRTC A team. That I think it has been a great contribution so far. And for the last slide, I would like Alex to join. Mic for him.
We have decided with Sergio that we're gonna go through our midlife crisis together, since we've both 40 with kids and everything. And CoSMo is now officially buying Meedoze. We've been starting flirting 2 years ago, dating exclusively for a year. Now we thought it was a good time to get engaged and bring that relationship to the next level. So the two companies will now have a common owner. And it makes a lot of sense since we were focusing on the client side, was focusing on the...
I have to be a part. I mean,
right.
if we are going to be together.
Right. Our wife don't know yet, but I guess that's the coming out, right? And we're going to join the resources of both companies to be able to provide more toolkits, more contribution to the open source on other projects and things like that. So that's the first time we announced that. And since it was the first time ComCon UK was coming out, we thought it was the perfect time and the perfect place.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think that, well, I think that Alex has said that already. I think that it makes a lot of sense because we were already been collaborating for more than 1 year, probably in different side of things for the same, for working CoSMo in load testing and custom builds of libwertc, and me working on all the media server stuff. So I think it makes a lot of sense enough to be able to be together and to provide much more custom development that we can quickly and easily evolve. So I think that I have 8 minutes more, but I don't know if we can go.
Yeah, no, go for. I mean, if you want to do a demo, that'd be brilliant. I always love a demo.
Okay.
And meanwhile, start thinking about questions.
I mean, I have it prepared here. I hope it. Yeah, here I have the PERC connection server mockup that it is running in a virtual box inside my Windows machine. Sorry, I still use Windows. And I'm still using NetBeans, sorry for that. But I like it. And so the demo is quite simple. I mean, you have the PERC connection client, that it is the normal PERC connection client that it is generated with WebRTC. Then you just connect the client. Here is. I just mock the server so it appears as a peer in the PERC connection client list, so it behaves like a client. When you connect, I suspect it. Let me close. The thing is, I mean, it was going to fail. I mean, no, we don't get video. I don't know why.
So maybe we'll do some questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So who's got a question? Well, actually, I've got a question to start off with.
Yeah.
Which was, I'm interested in things on the edge, and which of those SFUs would work in the environment where you don't have a public IP address? So the SFU is sitting behind NAT.
Mm-hmm.
And my experience was that Janus isn't really very keen about being behind NAT. Maybe I had that wrong, but So,
I mean, no, for example, in my case, I am more focused in servers, typical server. I mean, not in. So I use isolated, but you could just you could use the build anything on top. You could just create a stun client that gets the IP and pass the public IP address that you want to use to the media server. So it's a limitation, but not so big. And I don't think that the complexity to create a full ICE for me was worthy. I mean, for others may have gone for it, but for me it's not so critical.
Thank you.
Hey Tim, Asher's work behind that as well. Like you can set that behind a NAT and use that. Okay. Yeah.
Just a question with regards to containerizing this in like a Docker instance. Have you used it with Docker and Kubernetes before?
Not yet, and it's going to be a pain, yes.
Okay,
so I cannot provide further info for
yes,
that.
And then just another question. Have you got any kind of statistics in terms of just the load averages that this node server would be showing and how many connections?
Yeah, I mean, in
supporting?
fact, it is something that CoSMo has been working, and I don't know if it's. I think that Alex will be.
I mentioned the other day during the KITE meeting, we're doing the loan benchmark right now. We had generated the first number today, right? So we have it for Jitsi, Meedoze, Janus, Media Soup is coming, and we're going to have a lunch looking at those first number. And it should be published at IPTCom in October, and if it's not accepted for publication, I'm going to put it online anyway. If you want the first result, I can send it before, give me an email. Just it's unpublished data, so I will ask that you don't put them anywhere until it's out. Yeah.
So with the Node.js Meteor server, can my Node.js app run on one server and the SFU on another, or must they be co-located?
You can do both. I mean, you can just create a standalone server with a REST API or a socket API, and you connect from your from your other Node.js application, or you just can use it as a normal leaf inside it. So we have depends of that's the good thing. I mean, you can do both. I mean, it's up to you what you want to use it and how do you want to use it.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions? No? Great. Well, thank you so much for that. And I'm sure you're around for any kind of questions that people come up with. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Big round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Now, yes, now is lunch. And then after lunch at 2 o'clock, we have a joint session